Escorts, call girls, night walkers, etc. What was the weirdest, craziest, funniest experience in your time in that profession? Ex-tripper here gave a 2-hour-long lap dance to a guy who wanted me to talk about vacuums the whole time. It's really hard to make vacuums Shrexy. Walking in on a client smoking a crack pipe, a guy who booked me exclusively because I looked like his ex. He made me shower with her shampoo shower gel before each booking. One guy always wanted me to wear a balaclava during Shreks. I had a guy pay me to sit on his face and smother him with my butt cheeks. I didn't even have to get naked. He told me his sister used to punish him when he was a kid by sitting on him until he almost blacked out. And now it's a weird fetish. So, throw away. Because I just started escorting and don't want it linked to my normal life. A guy I last saw a month ago would quote movies while fricking. He was also huge, both his dong and his weight. We would be fricking and he'd say things like I am the danger, chaos is in the pit. It's a ladder. I'd have to press my head into the pillow not to die laughing. Once for the entire hour he just had me repeat you're a big guy, to which he'd reply for you, which he told me is from The Dark Knight Rises. I kind of miss him. Regular, paid well and fricking hilarious. Some guy wanted to watch me stuff a thong into my VJ, make me with it in there, and then pull it out. He was going to pay extra to keep the thong, but I tried the feat beforehand and found it unsurprisingly uncomfortable and declined. Male escort for about 3 years. The worst would be having an out call and having to frick a guy in front of his girlfriend. He loved it. She just glared at me the whole time. I felt really bad about it. I'll always remember the way she sat, staring at me while I had my way with her husband in their bedroom. So sorry, but he paid for it. I just feel bad about it. That was about 10 years ago, in Sydney. Sorry, Mrs. Client. I probably had about 1,200 jobs during that time. That was the worst for unspoken personal conflict. I got asked to insert my feet into a guy's SS. Politely declined the job. Not me, but a friend. A regular client took her and a bunch of other girls to an apartment. The apartment was empty with the exception of a chute load of balloons on the floor. The girls stripped down to just thongs and had to pop balloons by bouncing on them. Client just stood in the corner and fapped. I had a very fat and oddball client randomly start singing opera very loudly to me in his hotel room. He actually had a great voice, but I was cringing, because it was so weird for me. Not particularly weird, but lots of clients prefer me to wear leggings and Uggs, instead of Shrexy lingerie. Also had a large amount of little people ask me to humiliate them by calling them stupid midgets, etc. I had a lap dance in Dublin yesterday. One thing led to another and I ended up explaining to her how steel is manufactured. I used to work nights in reception at an escort agency that had about 50% of the escort adverts. Asian line, Indian, BBW, you name it. In my city, my job was to pick up the phone and offer quotes match the right girl for the right fantasy. Not all like doing certain things. So one night I get this guy that was looking for a girl that could wear PVC clothing while using a strap-on on him. That wasn't an all-out request. It had happened before, but he also wanted her to sprinkle talcum powder all over him while doing that and bark while they were watching dog peeing. One of the girls came back to the office one night and told us that her client had gone to the restroom at the start of her booking and came back out with the toilet brush up his butt. He then proceeded to wanting to have Shreks with her doggy style. That was an interesting job. Former chem girl. A guy asked me to insert my glasses up my ass. Yet, no. Not an escort, but a pro-dom. Have a client who eats my pet egg foot shavings. Another who ums in his own mouth and eats it. Another guy who can only while being tickled. Different guy who loves pretending to be a goat while I go after him with a fake knife. Never a dull day. No throwaway cause who cares. I was a webcam model for some time and have seen and talked to strange people. I once saw a guy suck his own clock. That was interesting. Had a request for my female counterpart to frick me with the toe end of a high heel. Many fisting requests. Lots of men who wanted us to degrade their tiny peanuts. A guy once gave us very thorough instructions on how to make me squirt. 'Twas very fun. It did work. We also had a very nice female regular who was into hardcore BDSM. She was our favorite, because that was also our specialty. While working at a rub and tug place in NYC, I had a guy in his 50s come in who only wanted me to pinch his nipples and rub my feet on his dong until fapping. I'm an athlete and do not have fetish quality feet. I told this to him and he said the dirtier, the better. He then had me tell him about fricking other guys while he made disparaging remarks about himself. Like, "You're so pretty you'd never do that with an old guy like me." In the middle of me recounting some of my exploits, a certain type of lady is open to this work. He looks me seriously in my face and goes, "You know, you don't have to lie in your stories for me." I laughed so hard. I still don't think that he believed that I was being honest, but he came anyway. He was a super nice guy. My friend's a dominatrix and I just find it incredible that last week she was paid £400 to squeeze some guy's head between her knees for an hour. Literally just got back from work. I work in a brothel. 2-hour threesome was great. He was up for anything. Me and the girl are going crazy with him when suddenly we talk about pubes. Next minute we're shaving his balls while he's sucking down his smoke. Wash him off and I sit on his face while she pulls him and he ums everywhere. Loads of other stories, but I'm so tired at the moment. I heard about this dude who wanted them both get naked. They're both wearing sailor hats. Then they get into a jacuzzi filled with Pepto-Bismol. He clips her toenails, and she shaves his buttocks. How much for a party like that? I had a friend. Okay, a girl I fricked for a season. There was a dancer at one of those peep show private booths. She said the most she ever got was $1,000. And then she went on to describe sounding and having to watch a guy do that while fapping. Both of them. I know that's shooty syntax. Those of you that know what sounding is just cringed. Those that don't, stay innocent. I heard a story from one where some kid came in with his mom to lose his virginity. She was a single mother, so it's not as shocking, but still I imagine it was just really freaking awkward for everyone involved. I had this scrawny 18-year-old offer to pay me $5 to stick his entire hand up my pussy, without a glove or even washing, in the dancing booth. I tried not to laugh and kept declining until it was clear he wasn't interested in a lap dance at all, so I left and went to the bouncer. The kid followed me to the bouncer protesting, insisting that I wasn't understanding his offer correctly. I told the bouncer the kid was trying to buy extras and the bouncer told him to beat it. Then the kid argues with the bouncer and says no, you don't understand. I'm offering her $5. He got thrown out, still convinced there was a misunderstanding. The father of a friend works as a doctor for a government disease control place in Germany. He is mainly dealing with call girls and tells some funny stories. Many of the women coming to see him don't give their real name and don't have to. They're categorized just after the name they give and their birthday. One woman once came into the office and just said my birthday changed. Turns out she was never using her own birthday. She always used the birthday of her current boyfriend. Another time he asked me to go to a site on the internet where most of the women in his care advertised. Pointed a finger at a blonde, she's got chlamydia. Ha 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 ha. Also told me about a woman who told him that a man wanted her to save all the filled condoms of a whole week of work and buy them of her for €500. That's where she drew the line, and even though it was easy extra money, she couldn't do it. Not a call girl per se. I haven't had shreks with clients, but I have done video requests for money. I'm exclusive with my boyfriend. Love him a ton and we are both comfortable doing it. A guy requested my boyfriend dress in a suit. I sucked my boyfriend to nearly completion. Then my boyfriend had to jack off into his own hand and display his to the camera. The guy gave us a list of talking points about his shoes, to be discussed throughout the session. The guy requested I chug a can of soda then burp loudly. I expected it to be nearly impossible to chug a can of soda. I'm super sensitive to carbonated beverages and find them difficult to drink, but for some reason it was pretty easy to do. The guy requested I, hold my boyfriend in different positions. The guy requested I tie my boyfriend to a chair and suck him off. I have a bit of a different side of a story that had to be weird from the call girl's John's perspective. About 20 years ago, I had a police scanner. Playing around with it, I discovered a certain range of frequencies that picked up cell phones. Most conversations I would hear were very generic and boring. Sometimes a drug deal being made and an occasional argument would be entertaining. Mostly boring stuff. Once I heard a conversation between a call girl and her female pimp. The call girl complained that she was disgusted by the old guy she just did. He reminded her of her grandpa. Anyway, the pimp gives her the hotel and room number of the next client. I called the hotel and asked for the guy's room. I said something like, "Hey, when the hooker gets there, ask her how grandpa is doing." I kept scanning for a follow-up call, but never heard anything. LOL. Okay, I have the best story. I'm a male escort, by the way. So this guy wanted to meet me, but he did not want to actually meet me. He wanted to watch me and a female friend enjoy a dinner from far away. The only unusual stipulation was that he wanted my female friend's underwear to be exposed. After dinner, all he said he wanted was the pair of women's underwear. That's it. So naturally I involved my sister, because I knew she'd be down with making extra money, and she was somewhat aware that I had sugar daddies, but did not know that I was sexually active with these people. He claimed he was going to give us $5,000 for doing this, and he had no idea she was my sister. Then he decided he wanted my sister's phone number so he could decide if he could trust her with the task. Jump to a few hours later, where we were outside taking photographs in the rain of my sister wearing a bra with leopard print pants and her underwear exposed. He wanted to see how wild and crazy she could get. This is when I realized things were getting out of hand. Never did meet with him. Was probably playing us. Oh, and that time I met with a client in public and rode back in his car with him to his hosting location, which turned out to be a closed dental office that he is responsible for cleaning overnight. All I'm gonna say about that night is I did receive head in a dental chair.